How about your first audition with Oliver Stone and him basically saying you suck?
That was fine. That was fine because I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad. Yeah, and then I got yelled at years ago by Tony Danza because, and I'm not even the one that insulted him. I did this interview and I said that Oliver kept saying that you're too mannered. You're doing all this Tony Danza right? His words, not mine. So I said that in the interview, and then I read it before it came out, and I was like, okay, it feels like I'm taking a shot at him. So I reached out to Danza, and I said, hey man, this might piss you off. It didn't come from me, but it's in this piece. He's like, don't worry about it, you know? So I sent him some flowers, just to kind of, you know, really kind of pad the landing, you know? And I guess he read it, and I get this letter, and it's the card attached to the flowers I sent him. And he says, keep your apology. And some other colorful language. But then I saw him years later somewhere in Malibu, and we gave each other a big hug. But it was weird that it wasn't my original. I'm not the guy who said it, you know? So, but that came out of that original audition. So Tony Danza was with me in the frickin' Platoon audition, according to Oliver.
So you sign a napkin when you're in the Philippines filming Platoon, committing yourself to doing Wall Street
right.
For Oliver, but you don't look back on now this iconic movie fondly. Why?
It just wasn't I didn't have any fun doing it.
Yeah.
It was, there was so much pressure on that set, and there was so much, I think Oliver put so much on himself to, you know, based on what Platoon was doing and still doing when we started that. It was still a raging inferno at the box office, you know, and all the Oscar nominations, and that whole thing started up, and
he was getting on you a ton.
His stress became sort of contagious, you know, and it was, I could see the weight of the world on him, and I was just kind of, because the times we had during Platoon and just the boys club sort of vibe, and just how much we bonded and relied on each other, and it was just the level of camaraderie you can't really recreate, you know. But I thought some of that would transfer to the concrete jungle. It didn't. I mean, I'm not saying that every day on it was like, you know, digging ditches in a heat wave, but it just had a different frequency than Platoon. And then when I saw it, you know, I'm not putting anything about my performance on Oliver. I got to be responsible for that shit. But yeah, I just didn't feel I looked comfortable, or just like I really understood what my responsibilities were in the movie. I was so confused by a lot of the actual content, a lot of the financial stuff. It just was like a world I'd never cared enough to investigate.
And the training for it was insane.
It was very tedious and really frustrating. Then you run into like serious imposter syndrome with...
and that's been a theme kind of at different stages of your life, right?
Sure, yeah. And I don't think I'm alone with that one, you know?
Right.
But yeah, and it's just so strange that people, like it's like the number one or two talked about film, like out in the streets, is Wall Street, you know? Hey man, it changed my whole career because of that movie. I'm like, right on, dude. Yeah, and it's cool. I mean, I'm glad that I left behind something that people really enjoy and still watch and pass down to their kids and all that stuff.
You ever talk to Oliver about why he gave Tom Cruise the role that you and Oliver agreed you were going to play? The
thing that was weird is he said, you know, I want you to do Born on the 4th. And we had meetings about it, and we had a dinner with Ron Kovac, and then I stopped hearing from him. We stopped talking about it. And I reach out to Oliver, and I'm told that he's in Cuba, whatever. This is like 1988 or 89, right? I'm like, okay, well, tell him I'm looking for him, you know. And Emilio, he calls me, he says, hey man, you sitting down? And I think somebody died, right? I'm like, no, what's going on? He says, Cruise is doing Born on the 4th. I love that Emilio thought that I need to be seated to get news he thought was going to make me faint. I mean, what are we doing here, right? It's a movie.
Oh, but it is a big deal.
It was a big deal, yeah. Well, it was also the betrayal factor of it,
Right.
you know? So I was like, okay, all right, you know, Oliver's been a fan of Tom's for a long time. It's, you know, it's a different movie if Tom does it than if I do it. And I was like, you know, what are you going to do? Like, what, you can't lose something you never had.
But you guys had already
but,
agreed that it was yours.
Right, I didn't sign a contract. There was no, but I did, there was a handshake. It was, we were far enough down the road to feel like this was our next thing.
I mean, you signed a napkin.
I signed a napkin in the
for Wall
I know,
Street.
I know, yeah. So my word was honored between us, but it's fine.
Okay, but so you guys crossed paths in a bar.
It was one conversation. It was in a bar, like in, I don't know, man, Long Island or someplace. And I stopped in, and he was there, and I was drunk enough, and he was drunk enough for that thing to finally be brought up. And he was like, I just felt like you didn't have any passion for it. I felt like you lost interest. And I was like, well, I didn't see you. How do you know, like, how much passion I lost or interest that evaporated if we never talked about it again? He was like, yeah, you know, my instincts told me that, you know, the Oliverisms, you know, he could just tell. He could just tell. Whatever, it's fine. And then, you know, it wasn't like a thing where, you know, I'm gonna talk shit about him. Because then you see the movie and you're like, oh, okay. All right, he turned it into that. You know, when someone gets a job and does that with it, you're just like, phew. You know, of course. You don't sit there and dissect it and like, I'd have done that better. No, go yourself. That's and he should have won the frickin' Oscar, you know? But yeah, and then I did some bad, just forgettable films sort of around that same time, although Major League was not one of them. So I don't know if Major League happens if I do Born on the 4th.